All right, the Seahawks pick is in. Let's get the announcement right here.
Max Strong.
Max Strong with the announcement.
Thank you. With the 56th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select D'Wayne Eskridge, wide receiver, Western Michigan.
There you go, a very Seahawks pick, a name we had not mentioned for a position we thought was probably down on the priority list, but a wide receiver out of Western Michigan, D'Wayne Eskridge, is their pick. Danny, I don't know if you talked about him, 5'8 3/4", under 200 pounds, so he's looking like a slot receiver. But what do you think of the pick here? And
maybe
we don't
Danny's
have Danny
not with us anymore, but boy, he's definitely showing lots of speed. We thought, look, does David Moore, his departure, we felt pretty good about the first three receivers, and even better when Gerald Everett came in. But then, without David Moore, is it that big of a priority? But again, it doesn't matter. All that matters is they think this guy is this caliber, at this pick is worthy of it. Otherwise, they would have traded out. So as far as need, they don't go that way. They just don't. They never do. Never have. I mean, look, it would be drastic if they picked a safety right now, but still, it's still pretty close. And boy, watching the highlights on this kid, he can run. Not a big guy, but probably going to be one of those guys with a lot of shake. We'll see if he has some return ability as well.
Danny, do we have you?
Yes, you do.
There we
D'Wayne
go.
D'Wayne Eskridge is a guy that the Michael Bump has absolutely loved.
Okay.
Thought he was and pinpointed him and really felt like you're talking about a true slot receiver, which is something they don't really have because Tyler Lockett, while he's built that way, that's not his game and not really anything that he's done. Thought he's been
more driven. It's time for some straight talk. Sure, saving money feels good, but cutting your wireless bill in half, that feels really good. Like walk-off home run in the 9th inning kind of good. Okay, maybe not that good, but pretty darn good. With Straight Talk, you can get 25 gigs of high-speed data for $45 a month, up to 50% less than the other guys. Plus, no contract. All on America's best networks. Why pay a whole...
I think, it doesn't rule out. There's nobody who lost a job because of this pick. But it shows that nobody has slotted themselves into that spot, that they felt like that there's an opportunity for a guy to get on the field and play his way into the rotation. Freddie Swain showed a lot of promise last year. I thought he was a really productive player. I've thought that John Ursua is very much like communism. He makes sense in theory, but we haven't seen it work very much in practice. Like, that is not something like, hey, people talk about him and he looks like he's a great slot receiver. It's 2 years. We haven't seen him get on the field. It's not like a team would choose not to put him out there if they thought that he was going to be an effective cog. And losing David Moore was, I'm not going to say like that was a huge setback, but he was a pretty productive player for them and had some big plays. So I think that this is about Seattle thinking that, especially with Shane Waldron's offense, to getting another explosive and quicker sort of a bit of an inside threat and somebody that can work underneath is a huge asset there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of the negatives on him and some of the positives, lightning fast, and then how about this? It's from the one that Brock gave us. I can't remember what the name of his Pro Football Focus, I think. Comically outclassed the corners he faced athletically. Could just run straight. So meaning, the guy doesn't understand his potential maybe and his athletic ability, and that how much better he was. He wasn't able to recognize that maybe. I'm not sure what that means, but ball skills a concern, serious drop issues early in career and struggles with contact. But, early in career, what we're talking about is his freshman year, right? Your freshman, sophomore year. So, yeah, everybody develops that way. But, yeah, interesting little receiver there. I don't, is anybody else thinking, now Russell can't complain, right? I mean, this is going to
it's another weapon.
It's going to keep Russell happy. I mean, we got a tight end, we got a guard in free agency, and now you went and actually didn't, trade out of a pick.
To me, that's the biggest surprise is that they, with 3 picks. So that I looked at it like this, Danny, that if they made the pick, they had a strong conviction because how much John likes having opportunities out there. So if you're going to spend one of your only 3 picks on a player, whichever position it was, O-line, cornerback or wide receiver, whatever, you had a strong. They love this kid. And that makes me feel better about it because you now are sitting there with only 2 picks left in the entire draft, and that tells me that there was a strong conviction. Doesn't mean he's a sure thing by any stretch, but that just tells me, hey, it's not we're going to take a flyer kind of thing, or we're hoping. No, we've got a strong conviction. This kid fits in Waldron's offense, and it's going to be a perfect scenario.
I also feel the need to throw a nod to Jim Moore and to say that this was not a receiver drafted in the 4th round. Jim was fairly adamant that receivers drafted in the 4th round were cursed. It was one of the theories that he had that annoyed me the most because I thought it was, Dave, what do we call it, a fun fact?
Yep.
It's like a little fun fact that he had. He's in the 3rd round, so it should be okay.
Second round.
Second, yeah. Well,
Right, second round pick, and which is where they've gotten Golden Tate and where they had drafted DK Metcalf. They do. They've got a strong conviction about him. I thought that's a great point, Bob. That if they had traded back, it would have meant that they saw him, saw that a number of players of similar potential who were at about that spot, and they'd prefer to pick up some more picks by moving back. This is a guy that they wanted and were not going to afford to lose.
Well, and then now the Rams with the very next pick take Tutu Atwell. And he was a guy that I'd seen.
Small guy, 5'9", 153.
Yeah, just tiny little guy. But he was another guy that I saw his name a lot, not Eskridge so much. So it's very much a John Schneider special. So, but, they got a little bit better as well. Same type of guys, just going back to back right there.
It's funny. We've now seen 3 smaller receivers all go within the division here in this last little run of picks because the Cardinals picked a smaller dude as well. They took the receiver out of Purdue, right?
Yes.
Who I believe is 5'7". Then you've got Eskridge, and now you've got Tutu Atwell, who's 5'9". Mm-hmm. So I think that reflects a little bit of a change too. And you have offenses that are seeking to utilize those smaller players that can operate over the middle.